Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is Archie Gravenor. Archie is a fitness coach who helps entrepreneurs drop body fat, regain energy, focus, and confidence. You can expect to hear what reaching his full potential means to him, why discipline trumps motivation, the importance of goal setting, why Archie didn't feel like he fit in at school despite being popular, why he left his well-paid job in quantity surveying to work for himself, why he moved to Dubai, his advice on finding a life you will love, how his business model works, should a six-pack be considered the epitome of fitness, and much more. If you've enjoyed the previous episode so far, then please can you give the show a follow and a 5-star rating. It will mean the absolute world and give me all the confidence moving forward to improve week after week. So that is all from me, and I hope you enjoy. Hi, Archie. How are we doing? Thanks for being here.
All good, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, really appreciate you inviting me on, dude.
Happy days. I've been watching you for a little while, and I'm really excited to get this going.
Yeah, that sounds like we've got some interesting stuff to talk about, hopefully.
Let's go. So what does reaching your full potential mean to you?
Oh, that is a really strong question to start with. Reaching my full potential, it means a number of different things. And the way that I see full potential is a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs and business owners, only truly reach their full potential in one area a lot of the time, right? So the business pushes forwards, it does incredibly well, their wealth's in an amazing place, they have financial freedom, the cars, the money, the watches. But to me, that's just part of your potential, and reaching full potential is having it across all areas. It's having a good personal life, it's achieving financial freedom, and then of course the really important one is health and vitality as well. So for me, full potential is being able to push forward and push the boundaries and almost find your edge in each one of those areas.
In your content, you talk about the difference between motivation and drive and discipline. And I'm just wondering if you can expand on what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I think it's very easy to trick yourself into thinking that you're not a motivated person and to blame everything on motivation. Funnily enough, I had a call with someone just before yourself as, I just can't get motivated to go to the gym. I just can't get motivated to do my nutrition. And I don't think it's motivation at all, because if you think about the things that you do in your life, like brushing your teeth in the morning, you're not motivated to brush your teeth. You don't go up to the toothbrush and be like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I really want to brush my teeth, right? Or for some people going into a job that they hate, they're not motivated to do it, but they do it because they have the discipline to do it. So for me, the most important thing is discipline. And discipline is being able to do those things that you know you need to do to get to the end goal, to get to where you want to go, but you don't necessarily want to do them. It's being able to push through those times. So I think if you truly want to be successful in any area, you have to build discipline, because motivation is something that is going to come in peaks and troughs, ebbs and flows, whatever analogy you want to use. It's not always going to be there. And if you don't have that discipline to stay on top of what you want to achieve, you're not going to get there. You know, I could say from personal experience as well, mate, that I'm probably motivated maybe 50% of the time, genuinely, and I'll put myself out there. Like I know on social media and come across as 90 or 100% of the time, but 50% of the time I'm not motivated at all. But I know the end goal. I know why I want to get there, and if I don't do it, then the daily action and habits, I'm not going to get there. So that's why discipline for me is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think something that I've definitely learned is I think the why has got to be strong enough to be disciplined and to be motivated. So if you don't want to achieve the thing that you're looking to achieve, it doesn't matter how much discipline you have, you're still not going to do it, because that thing that you're trying to achieve is just not worth it to you. So, you know, deep down for a lot of your clients, I'm assuming the first part of getting started with them is they've got to want to change. Because if they don't want to change, there's no point in saying just be really disciplined, because if you don't want to do it, then you don't want to do it.
100%. And sometimes it takes a little bit of coaxing out of people of actually finding out why they want to do it. They might not necessarily know when they first come to us, right, of the true reason. And we almost have to peel the layers back. You know, if there's 500 layers to an onion, and we have to peel those layers back. So it starts with a baseline. You know, what do you want to achieve? I want to get my abs on show. I want to lose 20 pounds of fat, whatever that might be. And then if you continue asking that question, why, and then don't stop, and why and why and why. It comes to the crux of it, and those things are the deep reasons why people actually want to change. You know, it might be a business owner that has it all in life, but they still don't look good, and for that reason, they don't have the confidence to push their boundaries in that area. Or it might be the guy that has 5 kids and he wants to play with them when he's 60 or 70 years old, or grandkids or whatever. There's always a bigger reason why, and if we can connect people to that reason and that purpose, our job as coaches become a lot easier, but the result is also going to be a hell of a lot greater, because you have something that is way bigger than you that's pushing you forwards. And that's a very, very powerful thing. Rather than, like, as exciting as having abs is, if you don't really have that reason to push you forwards, it gets very boring very quickly. So there's got to be something a bit bigger than that.
Yeah. And also, I think, like, something I definitely did from the start was setting my goals too far in the future. And then it's much harder to have, you know, delayed gratification is a buzzword that is getting thrown around a lot at the minute. But sometimes if you set that goal for 2 years ahead and you don't have little milestones on the way, it can also get really disheartening as well. So that's something that I've definitely had
100%.
to put into my own life, because I've had that month where it hasn't gone quite to plan, and then I start to fall off, and then 1 month leads into 2, and so on. So yeah, I think that's really valuable.
Definitely. 100%, man. I think with delayed gratification, sorry, buddy, just to touch on that, I think delayed gratification is super, super important, but you're completely right. It has to be those small milestones to break it up. And one way that we do this, and the way that I look at it in every area for myself as well, is we look at that delayed gratification. We look at a long-term goal, whether that's 12 months or 5 years or 10 years, whatever that might be. And then we reverse engineer it from there. So we turn a year goal into a quarterly goal. We turn a quarterly goal into a monthly goal, into a weekly, into a daily. And then you can start to find those actions and habits, and also the milestones along the way to get to that position. And for me, that's like the crux of goal setting. If you could do that and you can reverse engineer with those small daily or weekly or monthly milestones, it becomes a very powerful tool.
So let's go back to a little bit before you moved to Dubai, which we'll get into. Let's go back to, you know, young Archie. Tell us a little bit about your sweet dealing days, making money from a young age, and and fleecing your friends at school. Tell us a little bit about that and growing up.
I love it, man. You've done your research. So that was my first entry into the entrepreneurial life, and I think for me that was the first indicator that, you know, school life and career life wasn't really for me. I wasn't really fitting that mold of just going through life as a normal person, so to speak. I used to go to like Costco or Asda and buy things in bulk for very cheap, and then I'd sell them on the school playground, like the simplest business model ever. But I would take in duffel bags of food, and I was like year 8 at the time, and I'd have all the older kids coming to me, so I kind of felt like I was the guy at that school, right?
Yeah.
And there was a funny moment with that, actually, where the head teacher and the assistant head, they pulled me into a room. They said, "Why have you got so many bags on you every single day?" They knew something was going on, right? And then basically laid all of my produce onto the table. And there was this like moment of recognition where they were kind of really disappointed, but also at the same time, like, really respected it. And it was like a little chuckle and a nod. It was just like, you can't do this anymore. So yeah, that was kind of me as a kid. You know, when I was growing up, I always felt like I didn't really fit in, and like I was being pigeonholed. And I don't mean in the sense of like, you know, I was bullied or I wasn't popular or anything like that, because I was actually in like the popular group, so to speak. But I always felt like I was being forced into something that I wasn't through school. And I think I knew that from a very early age, mate.
Again, I really resonate with that as well. For me, I was someone that only really achieved good things, good grades in things that I wanted to. If I wasn't interested, there was just no chance that I was going to do well in it, because I just didn't apply myself. I know that if I apply myself, I can do well, but it has to pique my interest for me to do it. So it sounds like that's a pretty similar journey to you.
For sure. I bet you got the same report card as me every Parents' Day, which is basically could do really well if he focused.
Yeah, it was literally it. Mine was always like just needs to apply himself, could put more effort in, bright boy, gets distracted easily. It was like a great report for, he's a really nice kid, but a terrible report for for academia.
Yeah. 100% same here.
So when you got past school, when you got to, GCSEs, A levels, was it at that point that you knew that, did you go to university?
Yes, but it was kind of I don't know what you'd call it, a sponsorship, as I was employed as well.
Right.
So my employer paid for me to go through university. So one day a week, I'll go do a half day at university, basically, as part of my employment. So yeah, I went through school, college, and then went into a role as quantity surveyor, and also did the degree alongside that.
Yeah, and I also know that you did a little bit of drop shipping besides your quantity surveying job. And was that because, was quantity surveying just kind of filling a gap for you until you figured out what you wanted to do? Because it sounded like you always wanted to work for yourself right from the days that you were selling sweets. So why did you get the quantity surveying job?
So there was this point of, I got 4 A levels, right? So I'd gone through school, that carried me to A levels, and it was kind of this natural thing, as most people do, is like just moving through that education system. And I got to the end of A levels, and I just actually felt really lost. I was like, okay, I don't actually know what I'm going to do now. I don't know what my passions are. I don't really know what I want to do in my life. And my mum and dad used to have a videography business, so they'd make videos for companies and obviously edit them, like promotional videos, advertisements. And they went into this construction company, did a promotional video for them. And on the reception desk, there was a leaflet for this sponsorship, quantity surveying. We're looking for people that have got 3 A levels, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of just fell into my lap. They brought me back to the leaflet one day and said, look, why don't you go for this? I think it's a role that would really suit you. And I was just like, yeah, why not? It sounds good. It's pretty good money, like coming directly out of college when I'm, 17 at the time. And I went for it. And I think there was something like 500 applicants for this. And there was an interview process of 3 interviews. One of them was a presentation to the full board of directors, literally titled "Why I Should Get the Job," 20 minutes. So there was this full interview process, and I got it, which I'm kind of still proud of, even though it was a long time ago. And it just naturally happened, mate. Like, I think I lost myself for a while. I probably lost myself for a good few years, and even more so as I went into that quantity surveying role, I just continued to go down that rabbit hole of losing myself. And it just naturally happened.
What was the motivation then? Because the motivation changes, I think, as you get older, when you start to find a why. And I think for me, all I wanted to do was get out and start making some money. Was the motivation for you money, but you didn't really know what it was that you wanted to do? Or was the motivation doing something that you love?
I definitely think it was money for freedom. So it wasn't money for money's sake. I think it was money for freedom's sake. And I had a friend at the time that I knew that was doing very, very well. And he was young, and we're talking, this sounds like relatively normal now, but we're talking 8-9 years ago. And he was 17, 18 years old. He got to move to Bali, got to travel the world, making money online. And I was like, oh, I kind of want a piece of that action, right? I want freedom. I felt almost imprisoned in my own life because I was having to drive around about 1.5 to 2 hours per day on a good day. Some days if I was going to site, it'd be a 4.5 hour drive each way. And then I was staying the role for 9 hours per day at my desk. And I just felt imprisoned in that life. And the more I did that role, I think the more I realized it wasn't for me. And I think I knew I needed freedom. I needed life on my terms, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. So obviously you went into what, well, how did COVID coincide with work for you when you were still at the UK? Because at this point you hadn't moved to Dubai yet. So how did COVID affect you? And, how was that period in your life?
Yeah. So you mentioned dropshipping earlier. I'm just going to bring it back to that shortly, just briefly. So I've been working as a QS for probably 4 years when COVID started, I think. I think around about 4 years. And one of the things that happened during that time was I built the dropshipping business, and the dropshipping business actually did pretty well. I got it to a point where I was doing 6 figures in revenue. That sounds really sexy. It was take home in my pocket about $2,000 a month, but that gave me a bit of a safety net. So when COVID came around, I was furloughed, and when I was furloughed, that gave me that freedom to spend my time how I wanted to spend it. Albeit the freedom was also whilst we were literally locked away in our houses and we couldn't do much with it. But it allowed me to really do things that I wanted to do with my time because I didn't have a day job, right? So I would spend my time doing things that I enjoyed. At that point, that was literally like Call of Duty and stuff like that during lockdown. But I kind of got a taste of being able to live life on my terms. So when COVID came around, it got to this point where my boss asked me to come back in after being furloughed for however long. And I just couldn't bear it. I went back in for maybe a week or two, and I was just like, "Oh man, I really don't want to do this." And I kind of had a look around at my bosses and the people above me, and I was like, I don't want your life. That's not who I want to become. And so I one day burnt the boats. Just said, "I'm not doing this. I'm out." And I had the safety net there from the dropshipping. It was getting me a couple of grand a month in my pocket, and so I went for it. Yeah.
So, at what point did fitness become a part of your life? Were you working out at school? I know that in your words, you kind of let yourself go a little bit during the COVID period. But before that, was fitness a thing that was that part of your identity from a young age, fitness?
Yeah, so I was always the kid at the top of the sports teams at school from since I can remember. Even now, like naturally, if I try out a sport that I've never tried, I'm good at it. I'm one of those guys. But there was this point where I joined the QSing role, and from that age of like 18, of just being allowed to drink and going out with my friends at the weekend, I was drinking to forget at the weekends because my life was so boring and I didn't actually like it. I can understand that now. Back then, I couldn't. I was drinking, I was taking drugs. The drink would lead to having a kebab after, it'd lead to a McDonald's the next day. So I went through this horrible spiral with my health where I just completely let myself go. And that went, physically, but also now I look back at it, it was a mental thing as well. And then there was this point actually initially before COVID where I lost, it was about 70 pounds of body fat. I went from fat to pretty damn in shape, if I do say so myself. And I absolutely fucking loved it, mate. Like that's the first time I really put effort into the physique side of things back then. And I absolutely adored what it gave to my life. Like for me, I'd done a load of personal development before that in terms of reading books and going to seminars and, going to these things where you're in a room with 100 other people and jumping up and down and clapping your hands and stuff like that. And for me, me going through the process of changing my physique and doing the whole transformation, that was the best personal development I've ever done. That was the only true personal development that really changed my life. So the fitness came into my world that way. And I just wanted to give that to people. It was almost like a gift that I could give to people that I had naturally. And my friends started asking me for advice. My family started asking me for advice, and they got like ridiculous results, and they were better results than I had seen other coaches get online, other PTs get online. And I thought, you know what, I should be making some money from this, to be honest with you, man. And I was like, I love it. I can make money from it. I'm good at it. Why don't I just do it? So when I handed in my notice, that was with the full idea of, right, we're just going to go all in with this, with the fitness side of things and do this, burn the boats and not go give myself an option to go back.
In your words, well, so to give some context, I have a background in rugby, being around that kind of lad banter, that culture, getting wrecked on the weekends, all that good stuff. But in your words, I heard you say that a colleague of yours called you a fat bastard. And at one point in time, you said that this was a catalyst for change. But you've already elaborated on that. But I'm just wondering, that language is, I think it's quite damaging. But at the same time, I'm guilty of using it with my friends or with people I know, or to have a laugh. But it was clear for you that when I was listening to your podcast that you said, right, as soon as I heard that, I was like, fuck this. I'm going to change. And I know personally as well, it's funny that you say, because I resonate with a lot of this, that I know that it kind of does get to you, even if it is a friend or a colleague or someone you know well says something to like that to you. You kind of do go inside yourself a little bit and go, because it's something you already know about yourself, right? But I'm just wondering what you think
100%.
about, language like that between lads, and yeah, what do you think?
There's two sides to the coin. I think it could be very damaging for people, but also it could be a very good thing. Like if you look at me, I wouldn't change my life if someone didn't say that comment to me, because like you said, I knew it about myself already, and it held up a mirror to me, and I was just like, right, that is not happening again. And I'm kind of a stubborn person. I don't take things to heart. I'm not what you'd call a snowflake. However, there are some people that would really take those things to heart and could be very damaging for them, and actually have the opposite effect, where you call someone fat and you call them overweight or a fat bastard, whatever that might be, and they kind of lean into that identity and then eat their feelings away, and it's this horrible spiral. So I think, I would never ever use that language with people that I know, because I know it can be damaging, and I think you've got to be very careful about it. I think there's nothing wrong with telling people how it is, and people do need to be told how it is, but there's a tact to it, and there's a way that you've got to do it. There's a nice way to put it. And if you believe that your friend is unhealthy and your friend needs to lose weight, there's a way just to pull them aside in a private conversation and say, hey, look, I can see that you've let yourself go a little bit, you put on a couple of stone. How about we organise to go out for a walk together each week or something like that? Like, you don't need to call someone a fat bastard for them to make a change,
Yeah. I just wanted to get your take on that, because I come from that sort of background where you kind of busting each other's balls, but you very rarely think about how it could affect someone, really. It's not something that you would just say to a stranger, is it? But you think it's okay to say to your friends. So yeah, it's interesting. So you decided to move to Dubai. Now I'm quite familiar with Dubai, but before we go into why you moved to Dubai, who do you think is the right person to move to Dubai, and who do you think is not the right person to move to Dubai?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think everyone should move to Dubai. I love it here, man. I love it. So who is the right person to move to Dubai? At the end of the day, if you have freedom, you don't have to be locationally tied down to one place. For me, I work purely from an online sense. I could be anywhere in the world and still do my role very, very well. And you have a business that's doing relatively well, and you like the sun, it's probably a good decision to move here if you can, because the weather's amazing. The surroundings are incredibly inspiring. Like, my neighbor has a G-Wagon, a Lamborghini, a Bentley. We have a Rolls Royce across the road, and you're surrounded by this like immense wealth, where in the UK that's almost like frowned upon, whereas here it's very much glamorized in a sense of, oh, you're doing well, we want to push you forwards, we want to see you do well. So anyone that has the entrepreneurial spirit, that has the freedom to move to a different location, it's a good idea. I mean, there's 0% tax here as well, which is obviously a nice benefit. And the weather's amazing, not to rub it in, because I know it's very cold over there.
So what about the people that aren't made for Dubai? Because you said that you were someone that was going out before you got into personal development. You were binge drinking on the weekends to forget. You were, getting up to things that you maybe shouldn't have been getting up to. You were, living the weekends so that you could forget Monday to Friday. And there is a real temptation out there in Dubai. You've got all you can eat food. You've got brunches that go on from Saturday morning to Saturday evening. You've got you can drink till your heart's content. It can get very expensive. So yes, you are making more money, but it can get very expensive. So how do you navigate living a high performing lifestyle in Dubai when there's all those temptations?
Oh, we definitely get sucked into it. Like that is the downside of Dubai. Like, we say Dubai is 0% tax, but there's the hidden tax of Dubai, right? Where you try and keep up with the Joneses. Again, I have the neighbors with a load of money and the brunches that you get invited to, the nice dinners and stuff like that, that you definitely do get sucked into that lifestyle a little bit. But at the end of the day, for me, I have this whole sleeve tattoo here based around two words, which is memento mori. And memento mori is a reminder of death. It's a reminder that everyone is going to die. And for me, I'm not here just to live like a prude. So I allow myself some enjoyment and some fun and to be sucked into that lifestyle a little bit sometimes. But I do think you've got to be very, very careful here because, like you say, the possibilities are kind of endless. And you could have anything at your fingertips. It's so convenient and it's very easy to spend your money very quickly as well. You're completely right, mate.
So last bit on this, why Dubai? Why not somewhere else?
Yeah, so we looked elsewhere and we actually tried other places as well. So we've recently moved to Dubai in the past full-time in the past 4 months. I've been here part-time for about a year, but before that, we lived for a couple of months in Portugal to test that out. We lived for a month or like 6 weeks in California, lived for 2 months in Bulgaria. So we've tried different places out amongst some other places as well. But we saw Dubai as more of a place to live and those other places as places to go visit, go travel, go see when we can. And for me, again, being surrounded by like this inspiration and the kinds of people that are here as a business owner and as an entrepreneur is a very, very powerful thing. You're surrounded by people, again, who want to see you do well. It's a completely different culture around success compared to anywhere else I've been in the world. Even the government, but also your neighbors, they want your wealth and they want to see you do incredibly well. So for me, that was the biggest bit. But again, like the weather all year round is incredible, whereas Portugal, it has cold winters and stuff like that. So yeah, the weather's important to me as well, man.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about your current business. So you've got to Dubai and just talk us through your business model now and what your mission is with it.
100%. So I run a brand called The Optimized Entrepreneur. So if we separate those words, we optimize entrepreneurs, but it says it in their name, right? So what that means is we focus on their health and their fitness first and their mindset to make sure that they can gain an edge in every single other area of their life. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm a massive believer that those things have to come first. Your health is your wealth at the end of the day. I know that's a buzzword that's chucked around a lot, but if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And we want to create better entrepreneurs through the vehicle of their body. Put it in a little analogy. If you're an entrepreneur who has the vehicle of an old rusty machine from 1960s, you're going to be moving a lot slower than someone has a well-oiled Ferrari from 2023 or 2024 now. So we want to give you that vehicle and help you look after that vehicle and oil it well so you can go long, far and fast. And yeah, like I say, help you gain an edge in your personal life.
Cool. So how do you go about that? You've got an online business. So, how do you go about acquiring clients over there? Tell us a little bit more about the acquisition side of things.
For sure. My client acquisition, mate, is pretty damn simple, to be honest with you. Most of our clients are from word of mouth or people that have worked with us previously. That is how it's grown. I've never done paid advertisements. I've literally just started that like 2 weeks ago. I haven't got a client for it yet. Like all of our client base comes from they're people that know people that have worked with us and got a great result. So it's kind of just started with one person getting a result. They've referred us 2 people. Those 2 people referred us another 2 people each, and so on and so forth. So, like I say, our acquisition model is quite simple. I also make sure that our content's high quality. I post content across every platform every single day. I have a strategy in the DMs, which is literally just talking to as many people as I can, sending voice notes, sending messages, sending freebies out and stuff like that. Like I say, it's simple. Of course, we're putting in the hard work to get there as well. But the biggest thing is we get absolutely fantastic results, and results that will literally stop you scrolling in social media, probably drop your jaw a little bit. That sells in our industry, quite simply.
Yeah. A post that you wrote in 2021 was, enjoy the foods that you love to get the body that you want. So is that a little bit of a mantra that you guys go by, within your business?
For sure. I think 2021, quite a lot about myself has changed since then, and quite a lot about how I view the world has changed since then as well. So I definitely still agree that we have to eat the foods that we love to get the results that we want. But there's a certain level to that, and I think I've changed my mind on this, and I'll be happy to admit that over the years, I thought you could have complete and utter flexibility and kind of eat what you want as long as you're hitting your calories and macros. Whereas now, especially when we're in the entrepreneurial space and that is who we help, I really don't think that's the case. And I think 90% of your food has to be top quality. It should be whole food, single ingredient, really good quality ingredients. And then the 10% can be whatever the hell you want it to be. So I think there's a balance to it. And of course, I had a Kit Kat earlier on, for example. Like I don't eat complete boring foods, but there is a balance to that, mate. You know, it doesn't sway 100% either way.
I think there's two people that we're also trying to help, because there's, your influencers out there that literally just talk about calories in, calories out. And I think the message gets missed as well between weight loss and fat loss. And then I also think that people forget that, the people that you're helping, maybe high achievers or entrepreneurs or whoever it might be a little bit different to Sally down the street who is 45 and just wants to feel a little bit better about herself. She's let herself go a little bit. All these things are very different. But I think out there, all the information that you get is calories in versus calories out. Just move more and eat less. But, well, if you're going to just eat, 5 Mars bars a day, you probably still could lose fat, yes, but you're probably not going to feel very good about yourself. So, 100%. Going through your messaging and a lot of your posts, especially in the early days, you were, or you still are, quite a lot about balance. Like you said, you've just had a Kit Kat. You still go out, you enjoy brunch, you still like to have a drink, but it's kind of that 80-20 rule, isn't it?
For sure, 100%. Like, those things are kind of the anomalies, right? And like I say, 90% of the time I'm on it. I'm very dialed in with my food in terms of my main meals. I am very mindful of how that food makes me feel and how it makes me perform as a business owner, and also my athletic endeavors as well. So I think you've got to have that sprinkle of fun in there as well, and you've got to be able to eat what you want sometimes, because life is for living. But you've got to have the strategy and the method behind it to do that as well. And part of that strategy and method is sometimes not eating the meal that you want and actually making a better choice for yourself as a human first.
If your goal is to just have a 6-pack, do you think that is a healthy and long-term goal for most people?
Yeah. So as a coaching team, we have to understand what the person is willing to trade off first and foremost, because if we can be on the same page as that, then we're going to get where they want to go. And for some people, if they're willing to trade off more, that result will be quicker, and it will probably be the best result possible. For some people that are willing to trade less, and the people that want to go out for dinner twice a week or want to have food with their kids every single night, etc., their result is going to be a little bit slower. So we have to understand what people are willing to trade off. I think when we look at examples like you said, you can't tar everyone with the same brush, right? We can't just go, right, yep, this is a method that works. There has to be some individuality to it and some tailoring to it, because every single individual is different, and health isn't this one size fits all thing, and it's not just one area of your life. I look at health as our whole life. It's our fitness levels, it's how much weight we can lift, it's our cardio, but it's also our social life, and it's also our business life and our wealth. And we have to make sure that all of these pieces of the puzzle fit together. And for example, if a business owner that went on a 72-hour fast, like you said, they're probably not going to be the most productive or happy person in the world. And for a lot of people, that's not going to fit their lifestyle. So yeah, I think you're completely right. A lot of people sell things like that to push their agenda at the end of the day, mate. So there's things that have great benefits, but a lot of it has agendas behind it, like the Netflix documentaries that go out about veganism and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes, I was going to ask, where do you get your sources of information from? Who are some people that you respect greatly within the industry?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. First and foremost, in terms of everything that we do, I have done a hell of a lot of reading in terms of literally just scientific journals and studies, and making sure that we're going through meta-analysis and stuff like that to make sure that we're up to date with what we're doing within our business. In terms of people that I look up to, it would actually be people that I'm closely acquainted to be honest with you, mate. Like friends of ours that do very, very well in the industry, that get amazing results. One name pops to mind that I'll tell everyone to go check out is Phil Anthony. He was on my podcast. You can go listen to him, along with another friend of mine, Wole Adesamoah, 5-time world champ bodybuilder. Two guys that I definitely look up to that have a wealth of knowledge. Phil works in the sense of blood work optimization, and what he does is super, super interesting. But like, I think what's really important is not getting stuck in an echo chamber in this world, and not allowing yourself to go, yeah, this is the one right way and everything else is wrong. Yeah. For me, you have to be able to pick little bits of information from other people to formulate what's right for you and your clients. So yeah, there's plenty of people that inspire me, but actually the people that inspire me the most are the people that I'm acquainted to and that are friends of mine, and are probably pretty close to me, to be honest, mate.
Yeah. Have you got a business mentor now that is kind of helping you build the business? I think, all the information's out there for whatever industry you want to do. There's courses galore on, you pick the industry, there's something out there. But what's not taught very well is how to build a sustainable business. So I'm just wondering if you've got someone that's helping you through that now.
For sure. I have invested in the past 3 years. I have invested 60 or 70K into mentoring, coaching, like a lot of money. And the reason I've done that is because I'm such a big believer in coaching and almost paying to play, and fast forwarding progress through just picking someone that's been there and done that. So over the past 3 years, I've had 3 business mentors. All of them have played a huge part in my life. I'm currently being mentored by Charlie Johnson, who you probably know has got a following of like 550,000 on Instagram. Real well-known guy. So I've literally just got off a call with him actually a couple of hours ago. And also just give a massive shout out to my personal coach, who coaches me from an athletic standpoint, because for me, again, as a business owner, it's very important for me to keep my standards up. And his name is Joe Parrish. He runs a business called the High Performance Coach. And yeah, he's a great guy, and he holds me to higher standards. And if I didn't hold myself to higher standards personally with the athletic endeavors and whatnot, then none of the business stuff would matter anyway.
So where is the business going for you? Where do you want to take this?
Yeah, so it's a really, really, really good question. I think realistically, within the next couple of years, I would love it to be a £1 million turnover business. And yeah, I think we could do that within 2 years. And it's funny because I just done what I don't like my clients to do, which is jump straight to numbers, right? So I will actually take that back a step and come away from the numbers. And I think that the most important thing, the sort of umbrella going over those numbers, and the most important thing there is that I want to help as many people as possible become better entrepreneurs, better business owners, and be happier in their lives. Like really, really simple. That is our mission. So the more people that we help, the better the business does, the more it grows, the more we get our name out there, the more people that we can help. It's like this lovely circle that we get ourselves into. And that's what's been happening for the past few years. But we just want to see it go from level to level to level to level to help more people unlock their true potential, like we said earlier, across all areas: health, fitness, mindset, wealth, social life, whatever that might be for that person.
Have you got any advice for people that were in your exact position just a few years ago and maybe hate their 9 to 5 and want to get out of that rat race? What advice would you give for them?
I think the biggest bit of advice that I could give to someone, or if I frame this in a sense of actually looking at my previous self, the biggest bit of advice that I'd give to myself back then would be to reverse engineer it, like we said earlier. Find something that you want to do that excites you and that you want to do for a long period of time. Don't get involved in fads that you're only going to want to do for 6 months, then give up. Find something that you're truly passionate about and that you'd love to do. Reverse engineer it. To get to a position of being able to do that for your life and having a lifestyle that you want, or whatever that might be, what do you need to do to get there today, in the next quarter, in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months, and reverse engineer it that way. So be super logical about it and what you can actually do. And then the second bit of advice that I would give is to have complete and utter belief in yourself. Really, really just go for it and believe that it is possible, because without that, you don't really stand a chance. So yeah, I think those are the two things that would have helped myself the most back in the day, because without that kind of reverse engineering model that we discussed earlier, you can feel pretty damn lost, because there's no clarity. It's completely clouded in front of you and you don't know where to go. And then the final bit of advice would be to hire someone that's been there and done it in your field. Like we said earlier, I've invested a hell of a lot into mentoring and coaching for a reason. You fast track your way to success if you go through that. Yes, you could go learn it all yourself. Same with our clients that come to us for fitness. They could go learn it all themselves, but it's going to take them 5-10 years. Whereas if you come on board with us, it takes you 6 months. Same with your business, right? If you want to start I just use online coaching because that's me. If you want to start an online coaching brand, go to someone that knows how to build an online coaching brand. It's going to be a hell of a lot quicker than going yourself and failing your way to success, so to speak, over the long term.
Yeah. The saying of you become a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, I think is one of the most true statements. And I used to think it was such a load of bollocks. But surrounding yourself by those people, you're putting yourself in rooms, even if it's just on Zoom. So for me, for example, there's not many people around my local area that do what I do. They kind of get a job and they stay where they are, and they don't really leave town, really. And for me, I had to go and find people that were doing what I wanted to do. And all of a sudden, my biggest worry was, I can't put myself on camera. I can't try to put myself on social media because I'm worried about what my friends will think. But then I realized that your friends don't actually care. Your friends are just your friends. If they're really your friends, they're just your friends. I mean, I don't need to talk about work with my friends. Sure. That's fine. And then I can do everything that I need to do with the people that I'm surrounding myself in terms of business. And they're the ones that are going to, pick you up when you're feeling a little bit low when it comes to business. They're the ones that are going to give you solid advice because they've been there and done it. So I think that is so important for anybody in any industry, is get around those people that are doing what you want to do. But also, for me, it's picking a few people that are only a couple of years ahead of you. Because if you pick someone that's
100%
20 years ahead of you, they're no longer doing the things that got them to where they are now. And for me,
100%.
For me, that's what I was doing. I was looking at people that have already achieved greatness. And the problem is with that, it's great to aspire to something like that. But if I was to employ what they do within their business, it's just not going to work for me. So I had to find people that were just 2 or 3 steps ahead of me. And then when I get to that level, then pick another 2 or 3 people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of me. And I'm pretty sure it'll be the same in your business, is it, or within your industry?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think the biggest thing with actually hiring the mentors that I've hired over the years is the community that's come with it, and the people that you get yourself around, and the rooms that you get yourself in, the hands that you get to shake. And I think that's the most important thing, because you begin to meet people that can change your life. And an old mentor of mine actually said, you're only one connection away from completely changing your life. You're only one person away from completely changing your life. So to be able to get yourself in those rooms, and like I say, sometimes you have to pay to do it, is an extremely powerful thing. It really, really is. Because like you say, there's a lot of small towns especially in England, where people don't have the same mindset as you. People do not understand you. People do not get you. And also you hold up a mirror to them. That doesn't make them feel good. And so they take the piss out of you. That brings you down, then you don't want to do the thing. So that is a huge bit of advice, actually, mate. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Is just getting around as many people that are on the same wavelength as you, that want to see you do well. And they'll be your biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah. I just want to backtrack slightly. Something that's changed a lot within the fitness industry, especially weightlifting industry, is that I think 10 years ago and much before that, you had 18-year-old boys, 19, 20, 21, going in and doing what we call the bro split. So an hour and a half of legs, going in the next day, an hour and a half of chest, going in the next day, an hour and a half of shoulders, and so on. First of all, was that you?
I've definitely done a bro split at some point. Yeah. I think when I started the gym, 100%.
Yeah. And that was because, for me anyway, it was because you'd go onto YouTube and you'd go, how do I get big back, or how do I get a big chest? And it would come up with bodybuilders, right? That were, because there was no such thing
100%.
as fitness influencers. They were mostly just bodybuilders that were kind of on YouTube. So I'm just wondering, how's your training changed since those days, and how do you go about training splits now?
So is this for me personally, or is it for?
This is for you personally. Yeah.
Yeah. So my training's changed massively over the years, and specifically over the past 12 months as well. And that's because I've gone much more into the athlete side of things. So becoming a lot fitter and becoming this almost hybrid that is strong, fit, fast, and I guess a jack of all trades. I'm not amazing at any of them. I'm definitely not the strongest guy in the room a lot of the time. I'm not the fastest guy. I'm not the fittest guy. But if we were going to do them all in one event, I would probably beat a lot of people, right? So for me right now, the gym time, so when I'm actually in there doing my weights, is all about efficiency. So like you said, I used to train, mate, I could have been in the gym 2.5 hours at a time. Like, it was silly back in the day. And that would be 5 days a week. Just completely pointless, wasting a lot of time. Now it's all about get in, get out, get it done. So I'm in there 3 days a week, 45 minutes in terms of my weight sessions. And that is currently 2 uppers and 1 lower. If you literally just had 3 spaces to work out and that's all you're doing, I'd recommend doing 3 full body sessions. But for me, I've also got my other training that I'm doing, which is towards so it's an extreme ultra mountain marathon in June. Which is the Dolomites Ultra, which is 72 kilometers up the Dolomites, so 18,000 foot up in the air, low oxygen. There's snow, there's rocks. You're running on ridges and stuff like that. Like, it's a pretty badass run. So I'm training towards that at the moment. Funnily enough, I'm doing no running because I've got an injury. So I'm actually just swimming and biking. And so, for example, on Sunday, I'm going out and doing 84k on a bike, along with a 2.5 kilometer swim on the same day. So my training's very much varying, mate, at the moment. But that's not necessary for someone that's just looking to get in shape and change their life for the better. I think most people for that sense, I think 3 days a week or 4 days a week is a really good amount to commit to get into the gym if you can, and just be efficient with it, getting the most bang for your buck whilst you're in the gym and get out.
I don't know if you want to touch on the mental health side of things when it comes to fitness, maybe yourself and with your clients as well. Have you kind of struggled with anxiety and stuff like that in the past, or how has fitness benefited that side of things?
I think I've always been fortunate in my mental health. I've never had really big bouts of going through severe anxiety or depression, but don't get me wrong. I've had bad times. I've had bad mental health days and weeks and months. But I've never been in a really poor spot. Now, that being said, I notice a huge difference even now. If I'm not on my game, or now, well, never actually, if I'm not on my game when it comes to my health and fitness and my nutritional choices and my sleep and my rest and recovery and looking after myself first as a person, I notice a huge difference in my mood. I notice a huge difference in my happiness and my fulfillment from life, and generally feel lower energy. I just feel down. I don't feel like myself, and I will get more anxiety and things like that. But to me, it's as clear as day that the two link up, right? And that your mental health is directly correlated to your physical health. I believe there was a Australian university that did the study that showed that actually training and exercising, it was 10 times more effective than the best depression medicine out there. So I think that says everything that you need to know. And yeah, even small things with self-care go a long way to improving your mental health. We hear it from clients all the time, mate. We get messages from family members of clients and their wives and families saying, thank you so much for getting XYZ back to a better position, because he's back to being himself. So yeah, mate, I think the two go hand in hand massively.
Definitely. And I think also when you've set yourself a goal and you've got something to achieve and you're hungry for it, you don't have that much time to be anxious. It's often when I don't have anything in the pipeline, that's when I start to struggle. So, I've got a half Ironman coming up. That's me focused in terms of, fitness. Awesome. I've got a goal. Then I've got a marathon coming up as well. So I'm always giving myself like little things. And then I notice that if I don't have anything that's coming up, that's when, all fitness just stops. I start putting on a few pounds. So I think it's going back to the goal setting. I think it's really important to have those goals so that you can have those little wins. I mean, do you celebrate your little wins? If you have a milestone that you've hit, do you celebrate those?
Yeah, definitely, mate. 100%. I'm a big believer in celebrating your wins, and I think you should celebrate every win, whether it's big or small. Of course, the size of the celebration is going to vary depending on what you've done, but yeah, I think it's very important, because if you don't celebrate those things, you don't get almost the dopamine that comes with it, and that good feeling and a pat on the back. So I think it's really important to celebrate your wins as well. And just to touch on what you were just saying there in regards to anxiety being more so when you haven't got much going on in your life, I completely agree. And I think the mind works in a way where it likes to solve puzzles, it likes to solve problems. And I think the reason why, when you don't have anything on and when you're living in your comfort zone and you're kind of in this place where you're not challenging yourself, what happens is your mind begins to create its own problems and its own challenges. And that's where anxiety and these, bad mood presents itself, because you have these challenges in your mind that want fixing, but you don't really know where they are. And I think that's a big part of it for me. And that's just anecdotal from my experience with myself and clients. But yeah, I completely agree that when we haven't got anything on, we're not pushing ourselves, that's when we're at our least happy.
Yeah. And I think another thing that people forget when it comes to if you've got a weight loss goal, for example, is people think that you need to go stand on a treadmill and just walk like a hamster on a wheel. And I think the best piece of advice that I could probably give somebody is find something that you actually love, that you enjoy doing. I mean, sometimes I'm speaking to someone that is wanting to lose weight, and we've got such a thing on like 10,000 steps, 12,000 steps. And that's brilliant for getting your NEAT up, etc. But what about these people that used to play squash or tennis or badminton when they were younger and they love it, but they've gave it up and they go, oh, well, I can't go now. And I just think, find whatever you love, like reignite that passion. It doesn't matter how old you are, go do some, I don't know what it is, croquet, like whatever it is, just get outside and get active and be in the sunlight. And I mean, I was in the gym yesterday and the treadmills are just full. And I'm like, get off the treadmills and just go walk outside. But I think that's where people like you are so important, especially in a industry where there are so many charlatans that are spreading misinformation and get rich quick schemes, get fit quick schemes, and all of this without, really highlighting that it takes hard work. But that hard work, it's that work smarter, not harder, isn't it? You can work hard, but you don't have to be super restrictive, and you don't have to walk on a treadmill. You can go and climb a fell or do something that's a little bit more enjoyable and still achieve your goals. As long as, like you say, the majority, like you said, 90% of it is focused towards your goals, and then 10% of it can be having fun.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. It's one of the things that we always say, like, if someone comes to us and they love playing golf, it's like, right, can we actually just get you playing some more golf, because you're going to get moving more, and it's going to be better for your physical health, it's going to be better for your mental health. You're going to stick to it long term, but you absolutely love what you're doing. But of course, it depends on the goal of the person. But those things they're going to prolong your life. They're going to help with your mental health. You're going to enjoy your life more. They're very, very important, Dave.
Just before we finish up, you have also started your own podcast. Do you want to give that a little plug and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate appreciate the opportunity. So the podcast is called Fit for Success. So obviously a little play on words in terms of what we do. And it's going to be a mixture of solo podcasts and myself just sharing some wisdom and some golden nuggets that you can take to ultimately help on your own journeys, whether that journey is into entrepreneurship, whether it's into fitness and getting into shape. There's going to be different episodes. One of the ones I've just recorded is tips in order to stay disciplined in 2024, for example. The rest of the episodes are going to be people that I find super interesting, and people that have something really, really cool to tell us about. So the first few guests we had on, I've mentioned one earlier, Wole Adesamoah. He is a 5-time world champion bodybuilder, a firefighter who worked in Grenfell. So he had some very interesting stories. Have Phil Anthony on, who I spoke about earlier, the blood work specialist. And we've had someone who's done Marathon des Sables on as well, Scott McDonald. Marathon des Sables, hardest foot race in the world. So I want to pick the brains. It's kind of a selfish podcast for me, to be honest. I want to pick the brains of people that I find super interesting and have really cool stories to tell me. And so I can learn some wisdom, but I also want to share that with other people. I've found myself far too often in 2023 saying, you know what, this conversation should be on a podcast when we were out having dinner together or something. So I thought, you know what, let's get ourselves in front of some mics and get these people on.
How are you finding it? I mean, for me personally, I found it really humbling from somebody that I think most people would say that I don't struggle talking, but put a camera in front of me. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's that thing of the other person's talking, so you're trying to think of the next question while also trying to listen, and you do get caught out at times. So, but it's one of those things, isn't it? It's kind of leaning into things that make you feel uncomfortable. And, you know, I don't know when that feeling of, oh, I'm a little bit nervous here. What if it goes tits up? What if this? What if that? How have you found the experience with podcasting? It's something new for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. So the people that I've done in person ones with, and the interview style, so where I've got someone else on the podcast, they've been people that I know personally already. I've got a relationship there, so we have kind of just had a chat. I haven't turned up with anything planned. I've literally done zero research, and I've just used it as a conversation, as if we were in a coffee shop. And for me, that's something that works well, and I don't really feel any pressure that way, and the conversation flows really nicely. So I would love to say I found it very difficult, but for that reason, I haven't. I think if I had guests on, which we're going into now, that I've got a few guests on that I've never spoke of. They've got quite high profiles and stuff like that. I think I'm going to find that a lot more difficult, for the reason that I'm actually going to have to do some digging and some research, like you've done yourself for me. And I think that's going to be where it becomes difficult, and maybe I get into that point of like, oh, I'm actually having to think of the answers ahead of time and stuff like that.
Just quickly, anything that you enjoy doing outside of work and outside of fitness? I watched a very funny video of you skating and face planting the ramp. Not ice skating. Was it roller skating? It was on Instagram where you go over a little bit of a jump.
I used to what would we call it? Aggressive inline skate, I think is probably the best words. But I haven't done that for a good 12, 13 years. So I was very young then. I used to absolutely adore that, mate. That was my passion. I'd do that 5 hours a day, every day back then. That's what kept me fit. Talking about igniting passions, maybe I need to do that again.
Pick it back up.
Yeah. I've recently taken up, 100%. I've recently taken up golf. And I'm still very, very bad, but I'm enjoying it massively. I've just become a member at a club out here in Dubai. I've got my set of clubs and I'm taking lessons. I'm still bad, but I kind of love golf for that reason. It's like getting better 1% at a time every single time. And for me, that's something that I can get very addicted to. So yeah, golf and, spending time with my fiance and the two cats, as boring as that might sound. And just, mate, I love my life genuinely. I'm very grateful. I'm very fulfilled. I have a nice life just in general.
That's amazing. I think that's a great place to leave it. And thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think there's a lot of value in there for people that are listening. So I really appreciate it. Just before we go, where can people find you?
Yeah, the best place is probably Instagram, which is just archie.optimized, or you can type in my name, Archie Gravenor, and I'll come up. Send me a message, say hello. I'd love to have a chat with anyone listening. If I can ever help with anything, more than happy to. But yeah, before we go, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to yourself, mate. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for inviting me. It's really good to catch up, actually. And yeah, I'm sure this won't be the last time that we speak. Maybe we'll get you on Fit for Success.
Awesome, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.